I can't help but take a moment to talk about where we are at this time in life. No, it's not about Survivor, damn it. I know you're Survivor fans. But listen, Biden and Harris won the damn election. Holy crap. Now I've got friends, actually close friends, friends of more than 40 years, he and his wife, who are Trump fans who think Trump is going to go into his second term. I swear to you, I am commissioning someone to create straitjackets for these two lunatics. They're educated people who, for some reason, and this is a fascinating psychological study for me, have bought this crap. Let me give it to you quickly, briefly, and those of you who are share my perspective will probably go along real quickly. But those of you who don't, those of you who are Trumpers, at least just think about it. Just try to open your mind just briefly to think about what I'm describing here. So, this whole concept that the election was fraudulent wasn't something new here toward the end. This is something Trump started spewing about a year ago when his polling, when his own folks started to suggest to him that Biden, if he were selected as the Democratic nominee, had the potential to win. So once Trump knew that, once Trump understood that Biden had the potential to win, all this stuff started to be tossed out to groom you, specifically you, any of you who have believed any of this absolute nonsense. This idea that the election was stolen or that there was fraud in it was concocted completely out of whole cloth by Trump. His team, he and his team talked about mailing votes. Oh, we don't do that. And, oh, no, wait, we do mail, but we don't just send them out willy-nilly. And that'll be the biggest fraud in history. Please think logically for just a few minutes. If we'd never done it, that's one side of what he said. He talks out of both sides of his mouth. But if it had never been done before, this mailing out to people who hadn't requested their votes, which it has been done in many different states for many different reasons, but if it hadn't been done before, then how could anyone predict that it'd be the largest fraud in history associated with it? That's not possible until there was some fraud associated with it. And when it had been done in other states, there was never any fraud. Widespread fraud. Whenever I use the word fraud, I'm talking about something beyond negligible fraud, where an individual goes in and maybe it's mental illness and they, bring 5 things in and try to vote and they're only allowed to vote once, but they tried to vote 5 times. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about widespread fraud here. And it's never existed as a result of the mail-in process. And if this, as Trump claimed for months, was so new and that it was going to be horrible, what's behind that? What's behind that is desperation. The orange moron is really in jeopardy when he leaves office. And so there are 2 things happening. He's doing all he can to try and stay in office because he knows he's in jeopardy. And in preparation for his leaving office, he has no qualms about lying to you ad infinitum about anything and everything, so long as you keep sending him money, which you've done to the tune of more than $200 and something million already. And even in the fine print, he's made it clear that what you send in, he can use willy-nilly as he sees fit for his lifestyle, for his legal fees, for whatever he decides after he's out of office. So if you think about the agenda behind why there was any talk of fraud a year before the election even happened, It only makes sense that it's likely a political ploy. That's what should be tested. That's where you should come from to begin with. Unfortunately, Trump's fans, Trump's supporters, seem to have ignored that, and I'm sad and sorry if that's you, but that's where you should start as a rational human being. Then, when you come to the election and you come to the process and you come to its review, where we've had everything looked at in courts by election officials, bipartisan, Republican, Democrat, anybody who's looked into what took place has concluded this was the most secure election in history. There's no difference between this crap that they're just putting out there for you to gobble up and send them money and to stir you up to continue to this partisan animosity, and you be the Trump fan and talking about we're at war and all this other crazy crap. There's nothing more behind that than the idea that Hillary Clinton led a sex ring in a pizza parlor, or Biden is a pedophile. I mean, oh, please just step back if you're a Trumper, just for a few minutes. And I know you would ask that of me, and I have. I'm not affiliated with either party, but I know you consider me a liberal, and how could I not be, given my perspective on the world and who I am as a gay man and an atheist, etc. And just those things may be enough for you to not listen to my perspective. But if you step back and you just think reasonably, rationally, logically for a minute, there is not one single shred, not an iota of evidence of any kind of election fraud. None. Zero. Not a little. All you have are people saying there's fraud. All you have, people repeating what they've heard. There's this fraud and that fraud and dead people voting and glitches in the computer system, and all of these things, each and every one of them has been reviewed by bipartisan officials repeatedly. Hand counts redone in Georgia, identical to the machine counts. To a single issue, not any fraud anywhere has been identified, which is why all of the courts, including the Supreme Court, have thrown out all of the claims brought as not being worth considering, or if considered, dismissed for lack of evidence. So I know you think it's a partisan issue and it's just Democrats hate Republicans. It's not. It's about reality mattering. It's about what's true. And what's true is there is no evidence of fraud. Any of the Democrats I know who saw any evidence of fraud would want it addressed, prevented, etc., just as any Republican would. So if the Republicans could step back just from this con man's ploy, just I know what you think of him and I know it's positive, but if you could step back from it and think of the absolute possibility, like worst case scenario, he's a snake oil salesman. Just imagine if that were possible, what he might be doing to you. I sincerely believe that's exactly what he's doing. He's a narcissist. He's just doing what he knows will put money in his pocket and protect him and his self-interests. That's it. It's all he's capable of. Oh my gosh, I feel passionate about this. It's why I had to, in the midst of all these survivor topic videos I'm filming, talk to you about something that's meaningful, but we're right in the midst of it. January 20th, I'm confident Biden will be sworn in as the next president of the United States. I'm not talking about anything to do with whether or not I think he'll be effective, anything to do with the partisan principles that differ from what Trump's principles are. Oh wait, I am. Trump doesn't have any principles. I had to let that slip out. Listen, just think, please think. Just step back, try to have an open mind, think for 1 minute. You're being duped. And it's sad. It really is sad. Honestly, it's sad for me to see that happen. If I saw any evidence, one iota of evidence of election fraud, I'd be singing with you. Thank you, sincerely, for listening to my videos. Please subscribe. It's free. And please comment. I really do read your comments, and I do try to respond. If you have any ideas about what more you'd like to see or ways in which you might be interested in partnering, feel free to reach out. Thanks again very much.